Welcome back to another episode of How I See It. How you doing, film buffs? It's Straight Shooter, and as always, I am here at Team Sound Studios. Today, I'm doing another review for the New Mutants. My review will have spoilers. I'm glad I got to see this one because this has been a long time coming for this movie. It's been in production hell for over 2 years, and it finished shooting like 3 years ago. It's kind of ridiculous. The New Mutants stars Anya Taylor-Joy. She plays a mutant named Magic. Macy Williams, who plays Rani Sinclair. I hope I'm pronouncing the first name right, but I don't think she has a mutant name. And then you have Charlie Heaton, who has been on Stranger Things. And Macy Williams, of course, was from Game of Thrones. He plays a character named Sam. And then you also have a familiar mutant called Sunspot. Then you have this other mutant who's the main character. Her name is Dani. And she can manifest fear. She can put images of things that people fear the most in their heads. And basically kind of like drive them crazy. And the movie opens with her in like an Indian reservation because she's part Indian. And it gets devastated by a tornado. She ends up only survivor, and then she ends up in the hospital where the other New Mutants are because they all think they're being trained to join the X-Men. But as it turns out, the hospital is experimenting on ultimately, if they're deemed too dangerous, they want to kill them. So some of the mutants' powers are Rani Sinclair can turn into a werewolf because she's apparently a lycanthrope. Magic can manifest objects, like there's this sword that she makes out of her arm, and also like she has armor because she apparently is Colossus's daughter. So basically the movie is the kids hanging out throughout most of the movie, getting to know each other, talking to each other, trying to figure out what's going on in the hospital because the movie was billed as a horror movie. And most of that is the fear that everyone feels because of Dani being there. And it's a lot of jump scares, and it's a lot of stuff that they think they see happening but actually isn't happening. So because of all that, the hospital deems Dani to be too dangerous, and they want to put her down. And they actually give her this drug that'll kill her. The Sinclair girl saves her just before she's about to pass away. There's a demon bear that's inside of Dani. Magic's power, because she can teleport, she brings the bear into the human world instead of the spirit world. So it kills the doctor that was trying to put down Dani, but then the mutants have to battle it, and there is a big battle scene at the end of the movie. That's basically the movie. Like they overcome the hospital, they leave it, and they're like, well, there's a town this way if we keep walking, and they go, and that's all we know. I mean, it could have set up a really interesting other universe, other story about the New Mutants, but because of the Disney-Fox merger, the New Mutants is the swan song of Fox Studios. So we don't know what's going to happen with any of those characters, if anything's going to happen with any of those characters. It's basically just like, okay, that's it. Without them knowing it was going to be it. But yeah, I said earlier it was billed as a horror movie, and the jump scares made it seem like a horror movie, but it was more a teen hangout. It was more of a teen comedy and then an action movie toward the end. Most of the movie was just okay. There was a lot of things not happening, and things that weren't happening, like I said, weren't really happening. Of course, it got good toward the end because of the battle scene with the bear and the action when they found out that they were trying to kill Dani. It's not what you expect a Fox mutant movie to be. And even the movies that weren't X-Men movies were typically pretty good. Like, you had Deadpool. You had Logan and Wolverine. Well, that was about it. The Fantastic movies were not very good, but they could do better with some of the Marvel properties that Fox had before Disney bought them out. But this movie was, for all the hype, for all the will it be released, will it not be released, or when will it be released, it ended up just being okay, which I was worried that would be the case, but that's what happened. It was decent. The good parts were good. I mean, I don't think I feel the need to go out and get the Blu-ray when it comes out or anything. I mean, do I regret seeing it? Of course I don't regret seeing it. It was entertaining for the hour and a half of the runtime. But did I hope for more? Certainly I did. I hoped it was better. But, and that just seems to be the trend that the movies in 2020 seem to be following. If you see most of the scores for the movies I've seen this year, with the exception of Jojo Rabbit and maybe one or two others, the movies pretty much this year have been lackluster. And that's probably part, the pandemic, because they couldn't release all the really good, tentpole films that studios wanted to release. And a lot of them are getting delayed. Like, the late quarter of 2020 are probably going to be filled with solid flicks. But so far this year, it's just been kind of meh. Saying that, the other thing about the movie that kind of dropped it down for me was the laughable attempt at different accents from the actors. Like, Maisie Williams was trying her damnedest to cover her British accent, but you just heard it come out like straight out in certain parts, and you were like, yeah. And then Charlie Heaton was trying to do a southern accent, and it just didn't sound believable at all. But I think how I see it, I give the movie a C+. That's my second review today. The next movie, thankfully, was better than the last two that I reviewed today. So stay tuned. Hope you enjoy it.